I worked pipeline in North Dakota for 8 years, saved every check, paid off a house for my daughter in Shawnee, Oklahoma, little ranch on Kickapoo Street, chain link fence, pecan tree in the side yard. She didn't know I was coming home. That was the surprise. I pulled up on a Tuesday, late September. The yard looked bad, brown patches, gutters full of old leaves, screen door hanging crooked off one hinge. I still had my key, so I let myself in. The couch was gone. TV was gone. Kitchen table gone. All that was left was a folding card table, 2 plastic chairs, and a schedule taped to the fridge. Monday through Saturday, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Somebody else's handwriting across the top. Tiff's shifts in her own house. I drove across town to find her. The schedule said she'd be at a place called Turnbow's Smokehouse. Used to be a Pizza Hut. You could still see the roof shape. Before I tell you what I found, if this kind of story hits home for you, go ahead and subscribe. Drop where you're from and what time it is. I check everyone. Tiffany was bussing tables, carrying a gray bin stacked with plates, moving fast, not looking up. She was thinner than I remembered, a lot thinner. Bags under her eyes that aged her 10 years. She was 28, looked 40. Behind the register stood Rena Turnbow, Cody's mom, 60-ish, frosted tips, reading glasses on a chain. Church lady smile that's always on. Even when she's saying something mean, she spotted me first. Smile tightened, just a little. Well, Gary Purcell, look who's back from the oil fields. Pipeline, not oil fields. Tiffany turned around and saw me. The bin almost slipped. She set it down. Looked at Rena first, then me. Dad, what are you doing here? Not Dad, not running across the room. Just like I'd showed up at the wrong time for an appointment. Came to see you, Tiff. And Josie, Rena answered for her. Tiffany's been with us almost 3 years. She's part of the family. Part of the family. Not like a compliment, like a claim. Tiff came to the house at 2:45, sat on the concrete porch next to me. No chairs out here anymore. Used to be 2 green Adirondacks. She picked at a hangnail until it bled. Then she told me, 2 years ago, the wreck on Highway 77, she'd called me about it. I sent $3,000 for the hospital. She said she was fine. She wasn't fine. Percocet for 6 weeks. Then muscle relaxers. Then Rena said she knew somebody who could get something stronger because the pain was bad and Tiff couldn't pick up Josie without her back seizing. During that time, Rena brought papers to the house. Said it was insurance stuff. I signed whatever she put in front of me because I couldn't read the words right. They moved around on the page. What papers, Tiff? She looked at me. First time she really looked at me since the smokehouse. Eyes wet but not crying. Just tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. She had me sign the house over, Dad. The house you bought me. And my car title. And some agreement that I'd work at the smokehouse to pay off what they spent taking care of me. I couldn't talk. Mouth went dry. Hands started shaking. 3 years. 6 days a week. No pay. They let me live here. In my own house that you paid for. Where's Cody in all this? She almost laughed. Not a funny laugh. Cody does what his mama tells him. Always has. He's not mean. He's just 2-0. He's wallpaper. I need to see those papers. I kept copies. Rena doesn't know. She came back with a shoebox. Nike, size 7. Inside were folded documents creased so many times the paper was soft. I couldn't read legal language, but I could read dates, and I could read the words voluntary labor agreement and feel my blood go hot. Tiff, why didn't you call me? She stared at the yard. And say what? Hey, Dad, I got hooked on pills and lost the house you worked 8 years to buy me? I thought you'd... I don't know. You thought I'd be mad. I thought you'd be right to be mad. I didn't know what to say to that, so I just sat there. We watched a kid ride by on a bike. The chain was clicking. After a while, Tiff said, Rena told me if I tried to leave, she'd prove I was unfit. She'd get Josie taken away. She said she has a friend at DHS. I don't care who she knows. Dad, she knows everybody. She does the church fish fry. She sponsors Little League. Everybody in this town thinks she's the nicest woman alive. Well, everybody in this town is wrong. I didn't sleep that night. Laid on the floor of Tiff's bare living room staring at the ceiling fan that wobbled on every rotation, counted the wobbles, lost count around 300. Next morning, I drove 45 minutes to a strip mall in Norman because I didn't want anybody local. Rena knew everybody local. The sign said Buford Legal Services. Between a nail salon and a vape shop, waiting room had 2 plastic chairs and a fern that was mostly dead. Patrice Buford came out after 10 minutes, maybe 45, short, dark skin, haircut close, shook my hand hard enough to mean it. What do you got? Not a question, a command. She read the shoebox, didn't talk for a long time, then looked up. Your daughter signed this on opioids. Yes, ma'am. This isn't going to be hard. Flat. Like telling me the weather. The property transfer, any judge voids that. But this labor agreement, see, involuntary servitude, federal thing. I'm not saying we go there first. I'm saying it's on the table. She quoted a retainer. I paid in cash from an envelope I've been carrying since Williston. $16,000 was supposed to be for house repairs. How long does this take? She looked at me over her glasses. Depends how dumb they are. Smart people settle. How dumb is this woman? She put her name on the deed of a house she stole from a drugged-up single mother. So, pretty dumb. Couple months. I got Tiff's medical records from the clinic. A records lady named Dev in cartoon cat scrubs told me Tiff was on 10 milligrams of Percocet every 4 hours, plus muscle relaxers during the time she signed. I asked her what month it was once, and she said October. It was February. Dev said she'd testify. Patrice sent a demand letter. 14 days. No response. On day 8, Rena showed up at the house on Kickapoo Street. I was out front mowing the yard. First time it had been mowed right in a year. She pulled up in a white Tahoe with a church bumper sticker. Gary, we need to talk about this ridiculous letter. Talk to my lawyer. I took care of that girl. When you were in North Dakota doing God knows what, I was here. Hand on her chest like she was pledging allegiance. I fed her. I gave her a purpose. And here's the thing that messed with my head. For about half a second, I saw something real on her face. Not the church smile, something tired, like she actually believed what she was saying. Like in her version of events, she really was the hero who stepped in when nobody else would. That half second made me angrier than the threats did, because it meant she'd told herself this story so many times she'd started buying it. You took her house, Rena. She gave it to us, voluntarily. She was on Percocet. She didn't know what month it was. Something moved behind her eyes, a flicker, like a lizard blinking. Then the smile came back. If you pursue this, it's going to get ugly. For everyone. I have friends at the church, at DHS. People trust me. I stepped closer, close enough to smell her perfume. Something floral trying too hard. Your 14 days started Monday. She left, didn't peel out, didn't slam the door, just drove away smooth. That scared me more than yelling would have. That night at the Motel 6, I didn't do anything useful. Sat on the bed watching a show about people buying storage units. Couldn't tell you what happened on it. The room smelled like carpet cleaner, and the AC made a ticking noise every 30 seconds. I counted. 30 seconds exactly. I ate a bag of peanut M&Ms from the vending machine for dinner. The yellow ones always taste different to me. They don't. I know that, but they do. Around midnight, I tried to call my buddy Dale back in Williston. He didn't pick up. I left the voicemail that was just me saying, "Hey, it's Gary. Call me when you get a chance. Things are." To me, yeah, call me. Real helpful. Patrice filed on day 15. Fraud, undue influence, unjust enrichment, involuntary servitude. Referred the criminal side to the county DA, a guy named Phil Reese, who was hungry because it was election year. The newspaper ran the story. Name the Turnbows. Name the smokehouse. By weekend, Yelp reviews dropped from 4 stars to 1.5. Somebody spray-painted a red X in the parking lot. Rena went to her pastor, got a sermon about false accusations and the devil's work. People started looking at Tiff sideways at the gas station. A woman told Tiff she should be ashamed. Then Rena called DHS. A caseworker named Tracy showed up at the house unannounced, walked through, looked in the fridge, talked to Josie. Josie told her, "Mama makes me mac and cheese and reads me stories, and she lets me have 2 cookies after dinner, but only if I eat my broccoli, which I don't like, but I eat it anyway." Tracy closed her notebook. "You're fine. Between you and me, we get these calls when there's a legal thing going on. I know what this is." She left. Tiff sat on the floor and cried. The quiet kind, where your shoulders shake and nothing comes out. Josie patted her mom's head. "It's okay, Mama. The nice lady said we're fine." That night, Tiff called me at the Motel 6 where I was staying. Her voice was small. "Dad, maybe we should drop it." "We're not dropping it. People are looking at me different. A woman at the gas station told me I should be ashamed. That woman doesn't know what she's talking about. What if Rena really does call DHS? She already did, and it didn't work. Patrice is ready." Quiet. I could hear Josie saying something about a cat in the background. "Dad, I'm tired. Like, shh, really tired." "I know, Tiff." She hung up. I sat in my truck in the motel parking lot, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles went white. Then I drove to the Waffle House on Harrison because it was the only place open. The break came from 2 places I didn't expect. First, a text at 11 at night while I sat in the Waffle House on Harrison, drinking coffee I wasn't going to finish. Kid named Lonnie Hicks, 19. Worked dish at the smokehouse for 4 months. Saw how they treated Tiff, willing to talk. I stared at that text so long the waitress came back and asked if I needed something stronger. Getting from that Waffle House to Monday morning was ugly. I think I slept 2 hours. Showed up at Patrice's office with coffee stains on my shirt and toilet paper stuck to my chin from shaving in bad motel light. Patrice looked at me. "You look terrible." "Thanks. I got a witness." Second break. Cody. I ran into him behind the smokehouse smoking a cigarette by the dumpster. He saw me and froze. Then he did something I didn't expect. He walked over. "Mr. Purcell." "Cody." He looked at his cigarette, flicked ash. "I didn't. Look, I know how it looks. And I'm not saying it's. I mean, Mom handled most of the. He couldn't finish a sentence. Kept starting and stopping like a mower that won't catch. Your mother took my daughter's house, Cody, while she was on painkillers." "I know." So quiet I almost didn't hear it. I told Mom it wasn't right. She said Tiff agreed to it. She said it was fair. And you believed her. Long drag on the cigarette. Looked at the sky. "Mr. Purcell, I believe whatever gets me through the day. That's all I got." I almost felt bad for him. Then I remembered Josie's face when the DHS worker showed up and they almost went away. Your mama filed a false report with DHS, trying to take Josie away. His face changed. Not anger, shame, the kind that makes your whole body go slack. She told me that was just to scare Tiff into dropping the case. A caseworker talked to my 4-year-old granddaughter about where she sleeps and what she eats. Does that sound like just scaring somebody? He dropped the cigarette, stepped on it, rubbed his face with both hands. "I'll talk to your lawyer. If it helps." I hadn't expected that. Why? Because Josie still calls me daddy, even after everything. And I don't deserve that if I let this keep going. Patrice took Cody's deposition. He told her everything. How Rena planned the whole thing, waited until Tiff was at her worst, had a fake paralegal named Dennis Kai, who'd been an actual paralegal for 6 months in the 90s, draft the labor agreement. How Rena told Cody it was temporary, then, when Tiff got better, just kept the arrangement going. Patrice also called Channel 4 in Oklahoma City. Investigative reporter named Marcus Webb had a segment called Working for Answers. He drove down with a camera crew, filmed the smokehouse, filmed the house on Kickapoo. Got Deb from the clinic on camera saying Tiff couldn't have understood what she was signing. The piece aired on a Thursday night. 6 minutes. Marcus didn't go easy. Documents on screen, the deed transfer, the labor agreement. Medical records with names blacked out that still made it obvious. Rena hired a lawyer out of Oklahoma City, guy named Vince Castillo, who had billboards on I-35. His first move was a motion to dismiss. His second was to countersue for defamation. Both went nowhere. By Friday morning, Vince filed to settle. The settlement conference was at the Pottawatomie County Courthouse on a Wednesday in late November. First real cold snap. I wore a blue button-down from JCPenney that still had the fold creases because I didn't own an iron. The courthouse smelled like old wood and floor wax and that dusty heat vent smell all government buildings get when they first turn on the furnace. We sat in a hallway on hard wooden benches waiting to be called. Tiff wore a black dress with small flowers and kept pulling at the hem. Her knee was bouncing. Patrice showed up with a rolling briefcase that had a squeaky wheel. "Don't talk unless I tell you to talk. Don't react to anything. We good?" Inside, Rena sat across the table in her church clothes, pearl earrings. Her lawyer, Vince Castillo, looked like a man who wanted to be anywhere else. Mediator was a retired judge named Harold something, coffee stain on his tie. Patrice laid everything out. Medical records, statements. Cody's deposition, played the Channel 4 segment on her laptop right there at the table. Rena leaned over to Vince. I caught the words, "not fair," and "my church." Patrice asked for the house back. 3 years of back wages at minimum wage, medical costs, legal fees, and a written admission of fraud. When Vince tried to negotiate, Patrice gave him 90 seconds, then said, "The DA has this file. If we don't settle today, your client's looking at felony fraud plus a federal referral. Your call." Rena looked at the table. Church lady's smile was gone. What was underneath was smaller than I expected. Not a monster, just a woman who thought she could get away with something. Fine, one word, like a door shutting. Walking out, Tiff grabbed my arm. Not for support. Just to hold on. At the truck, she said, "Your shirt still has the creases in it. I don't own an iron." She laughed. Short and sharp and kind of ugly sounding, but real. That was 2 months ago. I'm on the porch on Kickapoo Street. Got 2 new green Adirondack chairs. Tiff bought them with settlement money. I said that was a waste, and she said, "Dad, they're $30 each at Atwood's." Shut up. Josie's in the yard chasing a gray tabby that isn't ours. Tiff's inside making chili. She's put on weight. Good weight. The tightness in her face is gone. She still flinches when a car door slams. That'll take a while. Turnbow's Smokehouse closed 2 weeks after the settlement. Rena moved to Tulsa. Cody got a job at the Ford dealership in Tecumseh. Comes by Sundays to see Josie. Brought her a pink bicycle for her birthday. Tiff let him stay for cake. I'm not going back to the pipeline. Decided that the third time Josie crawled into my lap asking me to read her a book about a dog who eats a shoe. I don't know what I'm going to do for money long term. Got some savings, enough for a while. Patrice said there might be more coming if the DA pushes criminal charges, but Phil Reese is slow about things. Election's over now, so who knows? People ask if I'm angry. I don't have a clean answer. Some mornings I'm fine. Some mornings I think about Tiff in that smokehouse polo, 6 days a week for 3 years, and I have to go outside and walk around the block twice before I can talk to anyone. Tiff's seeing a counselor now, through the county. Goes on Tuesdays. She doesn't tell me what they talk about, and I don't ask. But she seems more like herself, like she's coming back from wherever she went during those years. I didn't save her, by the way. I know that's how it sounds. Guy comes home, fights the bad guys, wins. But Tiff saved herself. She kept those papers, kept copies when nobody told her to. She kept going for 3 years when it would have been easier to just disappear. I just showed up with a truck and a bad hip and enough pipeline money to hire a lawyer. The other night on the porch, she said, you know what the worst part was? The apron. It said Turnbow's team. And every time I put it on, I thought about you buying me this house. And I thought you'd be so disappointed. I opened my mouth to say something, closed it, tried again. What came out was, Tiff, that's not. I wouldn't. And then I just stopped talking because none of the words were the right ones. She waited. The sprinkler down the street kicked on. I was never going to think less of you, I said, which still wasn't exactly right, but it was closer. She picked at the arm of the Adirondack chair. I know, I think I knew that the whole time, but knowing something and feeling it are two different. I don't know. They just are. I should have been here, Tiff. Yeah, maybe. But you're here now and I'm too tired to be mad about the part where you weren't. That sat between us for a while. Not comfortable. Not uncomfortable either. Just there. Josie's butterfly nightlight was on in the window. A truck went by playing something country with the windows down. If you're in a situation like this, where somebody took advantage of you or somebody you love at their worst, get a lawyer. Doesn't have to be fancy. Patrice works out of a strip mall. Keep your records. Keep your papers. And don't be scared of people who act like they own the town. Share this with somebody who needs it. Subscribe for more stories and tell me in the comments. What would you have done? Walking into that restaurant and seeing your kid bussing tables for free in a building that used to be a Pizza Hut. I still think about that roof. How everything changes shape, but keeps the bones of what it was. I don't know what that means. Maybe nothing. Talk to y'all later.